Good day. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Jay, and this is Homeschool Yo Kids Podcast. Today we have with us Antonette. Antonette, introduce yourself.
My name is Antonette Elliot, and I am the mother of 3 plus 1 who is also grown. We have a family business of childcare services. Even my oldest, who is my stepchild, she also has 2 centers. We have a nature-based school here in Georgia. She's in Alabama. We're here in Georgia. And one of the things that makes our school, when I say Georgia, like it's one place, we're in Stonecrest, Georgia. That's about 20 miles east of Atlanta. So if you're downtown and you're dropping in, we accept drop-ins. We have extended hours. We open from 6:30 a.m. and we close at midnight.
What?
Our goal is to be flexible to the parents and provide what the community needs in a safe place with teachers who have been crisis prevention trained, so they're not so quick to call you for every little thing.
Oh my goodness. Okay, Antonette, you are doing it, love. Yes. Inspiration.
Homeschool families. Homeschool Yo Kids Expo and Homeschool Beats Academy are teaming up to bring you a day of real support and real inspiration. Come explore curriculum and enrichment, meet trusted vendors, and connect with the homeschool community. And at our featured Expo stop, meet Homeschool Beats Academy and see how students ages 7 to 18 can create original music through beat making and production with parent-friendly guidance. Get dates and details at homeschoolyokidsexpo.com.
So take us through it. How do we get here? How do we get to all our children elite childcare?
You know what? I used to substitute teach when I was in Alabama. I used to tutor when I was a high schooler. And so then I went into substitute teaching because I always thought, I would really love to do childcare. When I first had the thought to do it, I was in Alabama. The situations just weren't adding up. So when we moved to Decatur, Alabama, that's when I got to substitute. And that's when I realized, you know what? I'm really comfortable with all age groups because you substitute in the school system. It's from about pre-K, 4 years old, to high school. And then they also let you substitute in the alternative schools where the children are supposed to have been in trouble. But that is really the sweet spot for a substitute, because if you meet the children in the place they're in trouble and you can make them see that, you're not judging them, you're helping them, you're happy to be there. When you get into their school, they're not going to let the kids cut up. They're no. This is Miss A. She's cool. It's okay. And so they could rally the class. And I'm like, how is the child that's in trouble all the time helping you in the class? But it's because I learned quickly how to make connections with all children.
Yes, relationships.
It's all relationship. So from there, I ended up eventually doing a home child care, also here in Stonecrest, Georgia. And I did that for about 17 years with my children. I started out, my one daughter, when I moved to Georgia, I was pregnant with her. I didn't have family here. And I was like, what am I going to do? And so, but when she came out, I'm just going to be honest, it wasn't what I thought it was.
Homeschool families, are you ready to refresh your plans for the year? Join us at the Homeschool Yo Kids Expo. Meet curriculum and enrichment vendors, discover new programs, and connect with a community that gets it, all in one place. Come with questions, leave with real options. Get event details and register now at homeschoolyokidsexpo.com. That's homeschoolyokidsexpo.com.
This baby I'm trying to breastfeed. She hanging on. Every little move I make, she's clean. She opened her mouth like Kermit the Frog. If it wasn't screaming, I was like, you know what? I got to get a job at McDonald's. I got to get out this house. And then I ended up getting an appraisal job that let me have her with me. That was no relief because now it's like trying to work and do everything together. And I was like, I got to do something. So I'm talking big talk now. But then my husband was like, well, let's look. Well, then that's when I'm turning to old baby mama. I'm checking every place. I cannot go there. Did you see what it looked like in that building? Did you see? It'd be stupid stuff. That lady's teeth were rotten. If she don't take care of her teeth, how's she going to take care of my baby if she don't even brush her own teeth? Stupid stuff. Like literally. The place was big and beautiful, but the babies were on the floor, eating off the floor. One person was changing 50 billion diapers. I was like, this just can't be. we did end up finding one lady who was a home provider, and I guess she checked the mark. She had one husband, one child, one grandchild. She lived across the street from someone I knew, and someone I knew's child was going to that school. So she made all the marks. So about the time my daughter was coming up on 2. Oh, and that's another thing. I told you my daughter was crying a lot, except for when she was, she was crying. So the first day she went on the tour, she put on a show. She was just as good. She went to the lady. I was like, oh my goodness. And I'm saying to myself, I'm the baby whisperer. Why is my child, working? But that first day she kept her, when she came to the door, it was back to her old. So she was like, she cried the whole time. I was like, thank the Lord. And the lady looked at me and I was like, no. Not thank the Lord that she's crying. Thank the Lord that it's not just me and my skills diminishing.
All right. Right. It's like, okay.
It's going to get better. Look, then I go cheer her up. Oh, no, it's going to get better. She going to get better. And she says, your daughter likes to eat. She likes to eat. I was like, well, she can eat. Feed her. I don't care. Let her eat. But then later, after the happiness of, she's staying, she's not doing the things, then I started to notice. I said, oh, you going outside a lot? And she said, no, we don't go outside. I said, you don't go outside? She says, no. I said, well, then why is her clothes always so dirty? And so I happened to look, and I guess the shackles were removed, and I looked at the floor, and the floor was black. It was supposed to be beige carpet, but it was like black carpet. And I was like, oh my goodness. I just so blindly wanted my child to go somewhere to get a break. And I was happy with the situation that I didn't look closely at the details. And I was like, I can't keep her here in dirt, the filth. So that's when I said, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and start a childcare of my own. And
wow.
That's where it got started. And I asked my daughter now, she works for me now. She actually just graduated with her associate's degree a couple of weeks ago. And I said to her, I said, do you remember how we started? And she said, yes, I do. And I says, no, you don't. She says, yes, I do, Mama. She says, we would go to the doctor's office, either for your appointment or my appointment. And we would sit in the lobby and you would do sign language with me. And people would always say, your baby is so smart. Where is she going? And then that's how we would go into, we have a family child care, pop out the car. We had our whole little thing set, but she's 20. She turns 20 in August, and she still remembers how we started out. And literally we set up, we took the stuff that was in our dining room out, and that was our family child care. And I think she took on the role. Kids would come. We started out with one family, and that boy graduated this year. He invited me to his graduation. I was so excited to see Zaire. And I was like, I know you remember me, but I'm not sure if your brother remembers me. He was like, I remember you too, Miss Elliot. So that was so exciting. And that was such a reminiscence to think, because I could literally look back and remember taking him to the park and all of the different things we did. And my friend would often say, how did you see this vision? Because literally you just had an empty room. And I was like, but I knew what I was going to do with the room. And it started out with just them. Then another family of 3 came. So you can only have 6 in family childcare. So a good couple families, a single, you're full. And so we did that for all of the years, and we loved it because I said my kids got paparazzi when they went to school. All of the kids, that was their field trip. They all cheered when they got awards, any award show. If it was planning day at the school, all of them got to go. And I often thought maybe they're embarrassed about this, but they really did like it. And during COVID, I asked them, because I was at the point, I'm like, you know what? When you guys aren't doing it, am I really going to want to go to the zoo with other children? Like, it's fun to go to the Children's Museum and all of that when you know you're not letting your kids miss out on anything, which is in homeschool. That's what parents think of. They don't want their child to miss out on the social or the fun activities. So for me, it was like, I wanted my child.
Your kid has music in them. They just need the right tools to let it out. Homeschool Beats Academy teaches kids ages 7 to 18 how to make real beats at home on their schedule, in their own style. No experience needed. Grab the complete First Beat Kit free at homebeatsacademy.com. That's homeschoolbeatsacademy.com.
my children not to miss out on the things. And so they even said, are you going to take the kids to the zoo without us? Can you do it on the day we're out of school so we can go to? So they really liked it. But during COVID is when I really asked, would you guys like to do this too? And they was like, what do you mean? I'm like, teach children. They was like, not elementary, not middle school, maybe elementary. No, I'm not doing middle school. I'm not doing high school. Time to think about what
all the kids. So that's they don't cross out all of them.
Right. But they like the babies. They do like elementary up to a certain level, but they just knew they didn't want to be in there with those middle schoolers. They want to be with the high schoolers. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to see what I can do. My husband at the time, well, he's still my husband. My husband asked me after I got the loan, like this, after I filled out the paperwork and got the loan and all this stuff. He was like, I only have one question. I was like, well, what is that? He was like, well, when were you going to tell me that you were going to do this? And I'm like, what do you mean? You know now, you was with me looking at the buildings. What are you talking about? But he was like, no, but I could have helped. And I just simply said, I know that you would have bent over backwards and made it happen. Because he's that type of man. If I'm like, you know what, they need to make some money, they need some jewelry so they can sell some jewelry to pay for some of these band dues. It's going to be a few days later, he going to come in with a goo-gob amount of jewelry and like let them start selling. And I'm like, we didn't really formulate the plan. The same thing with the school. I told him I wanted it to be a nature-based school. I told him all of the things I wanted. He's familiar with Childcare. He used to have a center for 30 years himself in another state, but it was a different model. And he said, I don't know anything about this model you're talking about, but one thing I do know is whatever you touch turns to gold, and I have to support you. And so I said to him, and you can't do it by yourself. You do have to have some support behind you. And I said, family child care, I can't pass that on to my children, but a center, that's legacy. As long as they're in and they want to, that's legacy. One thing I tell people, when your children help you, pay them as if you're paying someone you don't know. Pay them so that you're showing that you appreciate them, and they can build up the moxie to know that they can and that they want to and that they're valued. And regardless, they have that in them and they know what to do. And most of the time, I'm way softer than they are. Like, they're like, Mama, you need a blah, 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 blah. I'm like, ho, 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 ho.
Right.
Feel some things, people are going through stuff. You can't just base it on just what you see in the front. Sometimes you have to know the background, but it's been a great thing. I know I wanted a nature trail. I wanted to be a nature school. I toured many schools locally that were nature based. Some of them out of churches where they use all outside. So they make more like forest schools that stay out 24/7. And I looked at nature-based schools that stay out 2 or 3 hours, just the different models. I saw Montessori schools, and I'm looking and I'm seeing what I like, what's best. Then I'm also looking at the math and the business side of it. And I'm looking at what they're charging for what. And many times the quote unquote designer schools that look so beautiful and have such a crisp appearance, the schools that have that $25,000 a month mortgage, they didn't have half of the things that the schools that had the furniture that looked like it came from back in the day, classrooms, natural things in the environment. They were charging more. They were doing more. The children were happier. The parents were happier. And I'm like, I can't help but see what I see. And so I realized even if a child had special needs, if it was a nature-based school, they could still flourish. They could even out. Whereas this child that's more academic would be timid when it came down to outside and bugs. This child here that has a disability could show them that nature's okay, that this is not going to hurt you, that we can play together. And now they're each looking at each other as heroes in different ways. And I really love that for the nature school. But the trail was on my 5-year plan. But then, I got that husband. I tell him the plan. And he was like, baby, I got somebody. I was like, you got somebody? We haven't been open a year. In that first year, our trail behind the school was done. And I don't have my 5-year plan. You're dwindling out now. That's just happened in the year. We were supposed to get animals. There was supposed to be a midsection in the trail. And we were going to get goats and chicken. Because the children love when you take them to the petting area, they love the goats. The goats love children to bother them. But we ended up, once we finally got with zoning, we was told that we weren't going to get to do that. So I was like, okay, maybe that trip is still in the making. But many times if I think it and my husband knows about it, he going to make it happen. Like it's going to happen.
Girl, that's a good man, Savannah. That's a good man. I love it. That is awesome. Okay, so that's how we got here.
That's how we got here.
So you don't build a trail behind the center, and you want to get animals also. Tell us about the center, because it goes from 6 a.m. to midnight. That's already like, ooh, honey. So mama can have a life, daddy can have, mama and daddy can have a life. They can go out and do their little thing, come back, da-da-da. So how does this work though? Are people leaving their kids there from 6 a.m. to 12 a.m.?
No, that's
okay.
When they put that on, we advertised about it on Twitter, Instagram, the different things. That's the first thing we got. A lot of people saying, you shouldn't allow people to leave their kid from here to here to here. Well, this is the case. If someone needs to leave their child from 6 a.m. to midnight, if you have to go to a doctor's appointment and have surgery done, what time do you have to be there? Umpteen in the morning. What time do you get out? Late in the night? And do you want your husband or your mom or somebody with you or with the children? You don't want to be in there by yourself. You want to know that you have your support. So if you have somebody in the community, now, yes, you do have family members that you can send your children to, but everybody has the family members where you worried about, did they put the feet on their couch? Did they mess up her floor? I'm never going to hear the end of this. You know what I'm saying? But send your child to some place where they can be comfortable, where they're going to have fun, where somebody's waiting on them to have fun. Usually if it's a drop-in, we pull in special activities, something that keeps them moving. Because one thing about it, we do not have screen time at our school, period. So when they're there, they're active. They're either outside or they're inside. They're doing something with their hands, playing a game. They're doing something. And so what happens is, no, for the majority, they're not. But what we do have is flexibility. Our program is based on whether you need 40 hours a week, 50 hours a week, or 60 hours a week. And you pay accordingly, $355, $455, based on what you need. We changed it to that. It used to be how many hours you needed a day, but I ran across a lot of parents who work 3 days. And let's just say they work 3 12-hour days. That's 36 hours. That's still in the 40 hours of our cheapest plan. So they could still do our cheapest plan of 300, get the days that they need, and still have days built in that they can spend with their own child. Not let me just take them because I paid for it and I done paid a whole lot. I'm trying not to make it so unaffordable, but at the same time, I pay my staff pretty good money. So I need to charge what it takes to pay them. There's nobody making, we try to keep it $15 to $25 an hour, depending on what credentials and what they need. That's not a lot of money, but it's okay for childcare money.
Indeed.
And I also try to make it to where, when I'm interviewing, I'm always asking them, what is it that you would do for free because you love it so much? That's where you find out what a person's hidden talent is. And then that's when you say, listen, I'm an entrepreneur, willing to support an entrepreneur. If you are someone who does the t-shirts or the bling out shoes, this is a paradise place for you, because everyone's going to be having some type of party to need the services that you have. Somebody tells me they love cleaning, they do it for free. I'm like, do you know how many people would love to have someone come and clean their house, and you just in love with cleaning their house?
Yes, ma'am.
An open mouth, closed mouth don't get fed. So I try to point out to let them know that this is not my personal community of people that I'm trying to hoard. If you have a service, put it out there so people can use it. And so we have one page on our website that's dedicated to teachers who have businesses, parents who have businesses, and in some cases, children at the schools who have businesses. So if someone looks through our website and they need a hairdresser, they need a person or something to do, they can find almost anything on our website, and they're just all in-house people, because it's about everybody, being fed, coming up, being able to make extra. And I don't fear like, oh, what if they get so good and they leave you? Well, if they get so good and they leave me, surely they're going to tell everybody where they came from. So it's still a win.
And it's time. Look, and it's time.
Right.
You don't want to hold anybody.
Exactly. It's not going to hurt anybody for someone else to get some business. So that's sort of the model. And the teachers know that I really do mean that. People come in many times. They want to know, how did you do it? How did this? It sounds easy when you just say it. But when I was talking to my accountant this year, I realized you can say a whole lot of stuff, but in the bottom line, we probably put $500,000 in before we got the first child. It don't come in one pot. Like, you don't have $500,000, but it starts out with your money, his money, him. But you got money. Anybody got money? Loans, whatever come through.
Girl.
And then when you sit and you take an assessment, you be like, dog, I guess it wasn't as easy as I made it to be. There's support that you have to have, monetary and mental.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
monetary and mental support is very needed, even when it's just down to regular negotiations of things. There are some people that talk to my husband and charge him a crazy amount, and I turn around and talk to them and they come down regular. Some people talk to me, charge me something. He come around, negotiate something to come out. So it's almost like you need that good cop, bad cop to do it.
The yin and that yang, yes, that balance.
You got to have it. Sometimes it's like, listen, I cannot talk to them. I'm not in my phase right now to talk this discussion. Can you please handle that? Sure, I got it. And then sometimes he'll say, I thought you said you weren't going to say anything. I'm saying, you were over there having hot flashes. He had prostate cancer. So that's a result of it. I was like, you were over there fanning, baby. I felt we were down. I had to step in.
I thought we were down.
So, but the point is, the partnership of us helps us to help each other out. And we both appreciate what our roles are. And so it works out. So literally all my children, everybody works for us. My husband, he is technically he has a director's license as well. He handles the grounds, the buildings, and all of the things. And if I'm on my last week, he might be the one that's doing the meeting with someone that's needs to talk. My daughter, she is the 1-year-old teacher. She's the main 1-year-old teacher, but she's about to be pulled and turned into my salesperson just because I don't think anybody could do it better. My 15-year-old, she turned 16 this year. She homeschools. And so she uses a Accelis Academy. I don't know if you're familiar with that as the base. And so in her breaks and in between, or when she's got herself designated, she comes and she floats around through all of the rooms. My youngest is 11. So when he wants his money, he's like, what can I laminate? What boxes can I clean the yard? Because he already knows that's what I'm going to come with. Okay, I think I have some things to be laminated. I think I have this. I think I have that. And so everybody feels a part. Everybody has a part. Even our dogs. We have dogs in the back that are in like a little pen or whatever. It's away from the school, but it's next door. So the children, when they're on the trail, they can look over and see the dogs. I'm like, okay, now you got to bark at the children when they come by so they can see. Like, everybody got to earn their keep.
Yes, everybody get the word. Yes, I love that. The true definition of family business. Family, and like you say, you're building a legacy. So they have to be a part of it. They have to see the inner workings.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
So when I do training, they do training. We take quite a bit of sales. We take quite a bit of training, period. But one is a sales training that's really geared toward dentists. But who has the hardest job of selling $1 million in your mouth, on a cleaning visit, but a dentist? So we learn about people and body language and things like that. And then we have the masterminds that help keep us on track. So I just make sure they're right there by me. I won't join anything that won't let them be a partner in it, because I got to step back and let them step up. Yes. I just want a good foundation.
It sounds like you have created it. You have built it.
Well, we do our best. We do our best.
We do our best. So modest and humble. Yes, you are. Okay, so what ages are we working with?
So we go from birth to 12. So birth could be as young as 4 weeks. We've had them come 4 weeks old.
Oh.
And it's different between a center and a family, because in family childcare, when you get a baby in at 4 weeks, that person is without a doubt staying with you until they turn 4 when they go to the school system. You know, that's a 4-year family relationship. People who drop in, if they're dropping in, you just expect them to be in and out. But your base, they're going to be with you. At a center, it's not the case, because you can get a baby and they might be with you for a year. They might be with you for 6 months. For some reason, at the center, you draw people that are still in transition in life. So they may get a job all the way across town. They may move out of town. They join the military. If they're a foster kid, they may be in and out of the home that they're in. So it's just a whole lot more. We do have some children. We've been open 3 years. We have some children that are going into their 3rd classroom. So we've had some that stay, but more so that go. And so you constantly have to be advertising. You constantly have to be having people in. In the beginning, because it was new to me and it was so exciting, I was closing all the sales. I mean, it was just like a beautiful day. You came in, it was a happy day. We about to have a happy tour. You're signing up. I mean, I just knew it. And people were coming. And then I hit a block. I was like, they always say, if you say something negative stuff is going to happen. And I'm usually not a negative person, but I've always seen these, all these news articles of people who have made money and then they owe the IRS so much money. And so I'm like, man, I'm making a lot of cash in here. I said, I don't want to owe the IRS any money. Well, in the end, you don't realize how much you're paying out that's going out the door. So that first year I thought, oh my goodness, what looked like a lot of money on paper, I'm sitting here looking at the statement and I'm like, I'm really a little disappointed, because it says I made over $1 million, but there's nowhere near $1 million in any of these bank accounts.
Right.
I'm like, this is a $400,000 salary that got paid out. And then you start thinking of all the bills. And I'm like, my first lesson out here on the streets, money is not what you think it is.
Right.
You make it, but you don't keep it.
It's a flow. It's a stream. It flows. Yeah.
And so for a minute, I was in a block and I was like, I got to kind of slow down, which now I know after I got with the accounting and all of this kind of stuff, I'm just like, you know what? Let's just get these children in here and let's worry about that in the wash. Let's just keep it going, because what'll happen is you can get into a lull where economy goes south, things happen, and people don't need the child care because somebody's at home. So now the shift, because you have to have a shift. The shift is I can meet anybody anywhere. I don't care what school your child goes to. I'm glad you have a great school. But when you need a birthday night out or a date night out or children aren't invited, here's my card to think about us, because that's what we're here for.
Yes.
So it's really enough children for everyone. It's enough people who need it for everyone. Yeah. I mean, there's a daycare center right down the street from us. There's within 5 miles of us, there's probably 5 centers. I can't tell that them being in business has affected me. I don't think that me being in the business has affected them, because nobody has offered to sell me their center.
Yeah, right. Right. Now I feel like childcare, just anything with kids in general is always just going to be a flourishing business, for the simple fact that people are not having kids. Like, they are going to continue to have kids. Yes, those numbers, may not be, I guess, where they were, or they could be. I don't know. I don't follow statistics all too well. But I do know people still having kids. Look, people still, if they don't do nothing else, they're going to have some kids. So
and sometimes it depends on how people look at it, because somebody might be like, well, you know what? You sitting here, you have this, and you got all these employees. They might be like, it only look like 20 kids. You got 50 something, 60 kids, and it still not be but 20 or 30 kids. People don't have to bring their children to childcare every day. If they want to spend some time with them, they can. It's not mandatory that they attend every day. But when the numbers are low, I also don't send my staff home, because they still have bills to pay. So they may be working on their lesson plans or cleaning or redecorating. It's always something to do. versus send someone home. You can always do something, even making calls. We can always do things to make things better. So that way my staff knows that if they see stuff bad, I'm not finna cut their hours. I'm not finna send them home. So they know that I'm standing behind them.
Nice. So are you all on like a micro school level?
Well, we only go up to, like I said, during the day it's only up to age 4. And then after schoolers, we can pick up from local school and do after school. Now, we do have some that come in for after school and stay to 8 to 10 o'clock at night because that's just the schedule their parent has. So, yeah.
Okay. Have you thought about
the micro school?
Yeah.
Yes, I have. There's a lady that I use to tutor my son. She teaches in the public school system nearby. She's gone to Abu Dhabi. She's just a great teacher all around. She's fun. She's loving. And I was talking to her because she said she was stepping away from the school system again. She said it's just so much going on in the school system that she knows is not right. And even when teachers are doing right, they're micromanaged to the point that it's almost like you can be picked on if they want to pick on you. And when they want to not pick on you, they can step back. And she said, it's kind of hard to do your job for the bureaucracy. And that's when I told her, I says, well, you know what? I says, what about at the school? Have you thought about doing something at the school? Because at first I approached her to bring in the arts because she also does drama camp, arts. She's done a lot of the camps at the public schools and they rely heavily on her to do all of the things. And so I'm like, what about that? And so she liked that. And I said, well, I have a lot of parents that when they get ready to go into the school system, they're afraid and they would really like to homeschool a couple more years. I said, I have an extra classroom down there. I said, that could be for you. And she was just saying this summer, she says, I would love to do that. She says, I could take the morning shift and do that. And then if you had someone else come in and do the evening. So we're working in on something like that now because she asked me for my son. She was like, are you going to send him back? We had some issues at the school. My son has speech, well, I guess it's called speech delays. But of course, he can speak clearly for me. He can speak clearly for the average Joe person. But what he says is the teachers always say, I said this. And when I correct them and say, that's not what I said, this is what I said, and say it, they just kind of want to talk over him like that's not what happened. Other kids may fast talk and say he did something and they're like out talking him. But she says she understands. Everybody I know says they understand him very clearly. But sometimes if they have something, they'll take that IEP and use it against the child. But he's not doing anything behavior wise. They can't say anything about that. But just that. But my thought was I wanted him into the small charter school so that he could get the base because I know. Oh, he would love to be homeschooled at the house. Oh, he mentions it all the time. Well, she's doing it. Why can't I?
I know that's right.
But she was at a different. This kid was like an overly smart kid from day one, the kind that don't want you to help with the project. You know, my first one, she let me be all in like my mom. We's all in these projects, doing all the stuff, having fun. This one, she's like, no, I got my own project. I don't need your help. I'm like,
I got it.
You don't want my help. I live for this. And so I knew that she was a self-starter that could get on the computer, do what she got to do, knock it out and go. This is my 11-year-old boy who just want a YouTube channel. That's his goal. Yes. I just want the YouTube channel. You know, he says it's going to be, I think he said it's going to be Peyton's Adventures, all about fishing, his dogs, calisthenics, all of the things that he loves. And so he would love, like, we'd be like, listen, we got to get some kids over to the house. He was like, hold up. You don't have to invite so many people. I'm fine playing basketball by myself. I could jump on this trampoline without another kid. I don't need anybody. Being daddy can go fishing. You can play this with me. So I know that he would draw in and he'll go over to the school and play with the little kids. Or if it's a big kid, he'll play with the kid there too. But if it's not no big kids, I can throw the ball back and forth to him. He's trying to come right back home or go over to, another room or something. But for the most part, that's just sort of like to make him kind of reach out and to make sure he has his basics. So by the time he's in 9th grade, I'm hoping to be able to transition him to homeschool. Because these schools are not the same anymore. I don't know how you've looked into recently, but the stuff that's going on inside the public school, I mean, kids are getting, they let the kids, it's supposed to be a good thing. They let the kids come and sell food or sell things at the school. So when you got people coming in here with brownies, candy, cake, all of that, you have no idea when it's laced, when it's not, when it's some stuff added in it. Out here selling it in the open. And then they're wondering why half the kids are getting high off of edibles. Well, you're letting them come in the front door with them, smiling and waving at them. And everybody, you got kids high at school. You got kids getting jumped down the hallways. And then when they fight back, they're getting in trouble, but they just got beat down around the corner. Where were you? My daughter, to this day, she's 20, and she was the one who fought me and wanted to get back into school after COVID when she had to be at home. She wanted to go back. She just told me last week, she was like, Mom, do you know, I would be so anxious when I would get off the school bus. She said, sometimes just going inside the door, the air would feel thick. And I knew that would be a day. It would be a fight. And she says, I would just get my lunch and walk toward the hallway. And she says, every time it was a fight, it would be all over. And now they come out with the pepper spray and spray the whole crowd of folks and everybody. I mean, I'm like, that's too much trauma. And I'm like, why didn't you tell me? And she was like, well, I did like band. She was in marching band and all of that. And she says, I felt like I was handling it. But when she graduated and we had her graduation party, she was like, I was just feeling anxious. She says, because I just don't like that crowd of the look of how it was, at school. And I was like, man, it's still affecting her now, even after she's graduated. And I'm like, why are we sending the children into a quote unquote war zone?
I call it the trenches, Miss Antoinette. I call it the trenches. I don't know if you know, but I taught middle and high school. I taught all the way up until 2021. So yeah, no, I know all that stuff that was going on. I can just imagine how far it is now. But yeah, no, they were smoking in the bathroom, vaping. I just shared a story not too long ago about this one little boy who was vaping in my class. When I would turn my head to the board, he'd be front row vaping.
Exactly.
Like
charging their opinions up on
and then the fights, all the fights. There's a lot of fights. But yeah, I call it the trenches. You sending your kids to the trenches. People don't even realize it. And my thing is, parents, and this is why Homeschool Your Kids is Homeschool Your Kids. Parents have to understand that they got to prep their kids for those trenches. It's like you sending your kids in those doors blindly sometimes, and they're not even ready for what they're about to experience. And it is so, and then you take your hands off and just hope for the best. And that's what we got where we are. And that's
exactly. My daughter, she did not, the 15-year-old, she didn't want to homeschool. When I first brought it up to her, she was like, well, maybe let me just finish this. And the teacher had made a statement and she wouldn't let me do anything. The teacher was like, they all knew the teacher had been in the military. And she was like, Mom, she said she was going to beat them kids till their white meat showed. I was like, what? I'm going to have a talk with her. And she's like, no. Please don't. You don't understand. Whenever parents come up here and talk, it gets 5 times worse on everybody.
Oh, wow.
They do not care about a parent coming up. They get worse. They know nothing's going to happen. And so I'm sitting here like, I can't help my child. I can't coach my child. I did not raise my child to be abused. I did not raise them to be living in fear. And so there were some crazy things happening in that school. And if I just wish I had pulled her out when I first said that, but I didn't. I let her talk me into this. So the next time I was like, that's what's happening. She was like, am I going back? I said, let's just not think about it. I said, chances are you're not. I said, because I don't see what's going to change. If nothing's going to change and it's going to be the same environment. I mean, literally, I know so many people that their kids got sexually assaulted at school. And then they would say things like, you just don't understand. The principal was so happy to say, look, and show me a video of something happen. And it's like, where are the adults when this happened? Where are the adults when this happened? There's no video of any of that, but it's like quick to show all these traumatic things. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm so glad I got her out. And so she was like, well, baby, I could walk. I said, baby, we flying to Missouri. We're going to walk across the stage in Missouri with these people you don't know. You're going to get what you need.
Right.
But what we not finna do, we not finna say we going to do that. And sometimes, as a parent, that's what we have to be, a parent. We have to put our big girl underwear on, make the decision, because why do we think a child is going to make a grown person decision and it's going to come out like a grown person? Everybody likes to say, we should let them experience things themselves and let them, that's part of growing pains. I'm like, that's old school mentality that we all got to suffer. I'm from when you know better, do better.
Yes,
I don't have
yes,
to touch the
ma'am.
fire to know that the fire hot. You say the hot fire is hot. I don't need to put my hand in it and see. My child don't have to be hazed because your child.
Yes, that's what I was about to say. The damage that's done, and the fact, like you just talked about your 22. She's 22.
20 now. She'll be 20.
20-year-old still talking about how anxious and how that feeling, like she could still feel that from. No, you don't want your children to you not. All in the name of, they gotta, I know I had one student tell me that they feel like people should go to public school because it builds character. It toughens you up and all this other stuff. And I'm just like, nah, you can get that character in other ways. Like It doesn't have to come like that. Like not at the expense of your confidence, at the expense of your identity, at the expense of your purpose, your light, like everything. Hey, nah, I'm good on that. And I know my oldest is 12. And when we first started homeschooling, she used to always talk about going to high school. She wanted to go to high school. She wanted to go to high school. She don't want to go to high school no more. We talked, and she, she's come to the age where she truly understands why she's home, like why she's with me and why we are doing it this way. Not even just safe, just mentally. I want confident kids. I want my kids to feel like they can conquer this world.
Exactly.
No matter what is thrown at them. And I don't feel like school does that for kids. I don't feel like that.
I tell my teachers on the childcare level, when you teach crisis management and they're telling you how to meet the children where they are and when they're in the crisis, they can't hear what you're saying. That's not the time to be doing all that talking. The first thing is like, oh, you mean just let them have their way? Just da 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 da. I says, well, do you want them to peacefully de-escalate, or do you want them to fall out, hurt themselves, hurt whatever, do all of the things just so that you can feel like you having your way? I said, this is not about control. So we had to make a policy, and the policy is basically on voice control. And the point is, we're not trying to raise children that feel like it's normal to be hollered at, screamed at. And I say voice control means you can say something and not be screaming. And I have to demonstrate it with the teachers. Like I might say, Miss Johnson, even if I say loud, Miss Johnson, but if I say Miss Johnson, that's a whole different Miss Johnson. That's an unregulated teacher, an unregulated person calling Miss Johnson, and she is not having Miss Johnson's interest in the best when it turns that. I said, maybe we need singing lessons. So we have voice.
Right.
But literally, I said, your voice and the children listening to it, it could mean their life. You might not need them to touch something. You may need them. But if you go up in that zone of the parent out of control zone is what I call it, or the person out of control. Kids don't hear that one goes over the head. That's just loud noise in the back. But when you have that one even and that's not what we're doing right now, they will redirect and they look because they see that you're talking to them, redirect, and they come. And it's not a fearful. It's not like I'm going to hurt you. They don't need to be feared. I don't want children.
Yes.
They can't say what they need to say. I don't want them to feel like the biggest person has control. I want them to feel like what they say is heard and valued. I ask the children, how do you feel about such and such? Do you feel you're being treated fairly? I tell parents all the time, baby, when your children can talk, you ask them all the questions. Who did they say hit them? How did they say this happened? Let's hear from them. We don't have to talk over them and they right here. What did they say? Because they know the truth before looking at anything, because it's just like with cameras. You can have cameras everywhere. Some stuff don't get on the cameras. You don't see the ugly look sometimes. You don't see if somebody try to do something slick. You don't see if they back is turned. You can't see. So you have to rely on witness. What was said? What did they say? And you have to start getting the ear to listening to what your child say and believing what their child say. If you got a good relationship with them, then you can talk to them. And so that's the thing. You have to know your child, but you have to have that relationship so that you can talk with them. Because I said, I'd be dog if I'm about to raise a bunch of people who think they need to be with folks hollering at them all the time.
Exactly. And that's the thing. I don't think a lot of parents realize the things they normalize, so that when their kids are out of their sight, they're accepting that type of behavior from adults that aren't related to, that are on it just because they're adults. I used to have my students used to tell me, Miss Carr, you can cuss at us. Like, you can cuss at, and I'm like, yeah, I'm cussing at you. Yes, they used to tell me, because I was one of those. I don't raise my voice. I don't do all that stuff. And they'd be quick to tell Miss Carter, you can cuss at us, girl, because them kids bad. Like, talking about their classmate, all this stuff. And they would tell me other teachers cussed at them. So that's why they felt I should cuss at them. No, what? I said, because I wish somebody would cuss at my child.
Right.
We're not doing that.
Exactly. You sound like me. I'm like, I'm still one of those, I'm still one of those sensitive parents.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm assuming that's probably what they say in the office and all of the things.
And you can call it what you want, but if I'm not doing something to my child, I'm not going to. My children don't normalize abuse. Exactly. They don't, that's not normal to them. Look, they don't normalize people adults talking to them crazy. They don't know, and parents don't understand their actions will normalize that behavior for their kids, and their kids will, especially if they're not allowed to advocate at home, they're not going to go out in those schools and advocate either. They're going to accept things. And then when they get home to you, they're going to just sum up their day as, oh, it was fine, or it was good. And then they go about their way, and you don't know what has been put on your child. You don't know what they're holding. You don't know what kind of anything, because you don't have that open window. You don't have that open door policy. You don't have, you don't have that safe space for your child at home. And this is why we have all these broken individuals that are just out here surviving and hurt.
It grows into adulthood. I can remember I used to work at a company in Montgomery once I graduated the things, and they said something. I said, hold up. I said, people who love me don't get to talk to me like that. And we certainly aren't in love, and I don't think you love me. So you can't speak to me like that. And they would be like, huh? And I'm like, I don't know how it is at your house, but at my house, you don't talk when you in that tone. I said, I didn't see my parents fussing and fighting. Me and my brothers and sisters could not fuss and fight. So if people who love me can't speak like that, you certainly cannot.
Set the tone. You got to set the tone.
And so they knew, don't do that. I would watch grown men. They would get in each other's face just like that. And I'm like, where do people do that? Where did y'all learn that? And then you want to go out to lunch later. But the point is, if you don't set the standards, if you don't set the stage, you don't set the precedents, then teachers will come in and they'll bring that. And literally, we quick, see something, say something. We want them gone quick. Because, everybody can put on that little happy dance in the interview. Everybody can say all of the great things in the interview. But, when everybody's moving around, they're like, hey, she talk a little rough to the kids. I'm like, rough? She talking rough to my kids? Hold on. I'm going to get there. I'm going to try to train it out first I'm crazy. I'm demonstrative. I'm going to give you all of what I'm doing so that you understand. I'm going to ask, do you understand what I'm saying? Can you feed it back to me? Tell me what we just did. And once I know, then there's just really no excuse. You're just doing what you want to do.
Right.
Your actions has disqualified you from continued employment. It took a while, because for a while that would hurt me. I'm like, people need these jobs. People need this. It'd be a whole month later. I'm still like, oh Lord, I hope they okay. Now I'm getting a lot better. Now I'm just like, I could be out of town somewhere and get something. Like, yeah, this is the last day. Let's just let today be the last day. You'll get your letter next week. Just don't come back tomorrow. I wanted to talk. There's no more needing to talk. We've already talked. This is it. And, I'm just saying, I felt like I had to get that. This is my 3rd year. So it took me 3 years to get to that. But it's like I had to get there because we got to get it fast and get it out, because bad behavior is like a cancer. It'll spread.
Yes, ma'am.
It'll bring everybody down. So as soon as I see it and the more people see, no, she don't play about that. She quick about that. Or she even checking her cameras later or whatever. Like, you can tell me what happened. You don't have to tell me. I don't have to say you said it. I can go look at my cameras and see it and say, on this day, I saw such and such. These people were around. I saw it in the room. Just give me the heads up so that I can point on to it and get to it. The point of the matter is, we don't want destructive forces around our children.
Yes, and that's why I always think about like childcare in general, how hard it is to vet those individuals. It's the same thing with teachers in the classroom, how it is. Because like you said, people can interview one way and then be a whole nother way once they are met with all those little people talking to them at one time, or their frustration being met, or their control, or their, their authority being tested. Right. And then it's like a whole nother story. But the difference is, in the school system, you get tied up in the paperwork, and I guess it's harder to get people gone, you know what I'm saying, without having so many repercussions. This is just a private-owned family business. In Georgia, a right-to-work state. I really don't have to tell you why I'm letting you go, but I am going to tell you so that you don't move on, and not to put me down as a reference on the next page. It won't be good. So I'm our connection ends here, ma'am. Yes. Just pretend like this never happened, because let's just move on. And a lot of times you see them later, they're still friendly with you. They understand. Because it was wrong. Right. Can they come back and work? No, I already sent you. Showed me your hand, so we ain't gonna no redealing on this. So like I said, it's different, because as soon as we see it, if we see it in day 2 or 3, it ain't gonna make it. We ain't even going to the next week. But like I say, a lot of times we'll get a few weeks in, and don't let a parent complain. No. If a parent complain, baby, I'm really listening to what a parent say. I'm listening to what a child say. When I bring them in my office, you bring them in because you're saying they're having an issue in the class and you need some help. As soon as they sit in there, my first question is, what's the problem? What's going on? Explain to me how you were feeling. Because a lot of times it's somebody did something, nobody saw it. They tried to tell it. They didn't see where it got handled or addressed. It went on again, and might as well just take this in my own hands, because what's going to get done? Or it could be totally different. My head was hurting so bad, I just wanted to lay my head down because such and such. I told my mom my head was hurting when I left. She said she had to go to work. She gonna give me something later. We was out of medicine. Any other things, it's always, when they have a voice, it's a clear understanding. It's very clear. I got a little boy over there right now. He waiting on me because the other day, he didn't want to come to childcare because he is one of the older ones now. He was like, I said, wow, you don't want to go outside because you missed outside? And he says, no, it's not because of outside. He says, I just didn't want to come. I just wanted to stay home. I said, why? He says, because I can play with my game and watch TV. And I told him, I said, well, when I finish, I'll come over here and I'll play a game with you. He says, I want to play Uno. I says, okay, we're going to play Uno when I get back.
But then I ended up going to Sam's, and why I didn't come back. So today, as soon as I saw him, I says, I am sorry. When I get through with my thing I got to do today, I'm coming over there. Don't go to sleep. We going to play Uno and whatever other card game we got. So he waiting on me. And I just told him I was sorry, because sometimes as an adult, you say you're going to do stuff you don't get to. You need to validate the feelings of how they felt in the morning, how they felt in the moment, because you didn't show up, apologize, and then make it right.
Yes. Acknowledge these little people. They not just, they just little humans. They gonna be big humans eventually. And all that you pouring into them is what's going to shape them into whoever we sending out into this world to make the difference, to change, to shift, all of that lovely stuff. So that's what I was thinking about too, Miss Antoinette. I don't want to hold you all too long. I got 2 more questions for you, because I know you are busy with all these centers. So one, with all that you are doing, now have a homeschooler and potentially another homeschooler pending, and you have all these centers, family business. How do you make sure you're good? How do you self-care? How do you pour into Antoinette?
That's a work in progress. I'm not going to lie. But what I do try to do is, I try to make sure I do activities with the kids. Like sometimes we let them pick, sometimes it's whatever. And we try to do it as a family, because I be more concerned, not so much about me, because I'm one of those weird people. I could be happy reading a book. I have 3 or 4 webinars on hold that I done got the recording to, that I can just sit back and just chill and listen to, just because that relaxes me. I don't like to watch CNN. I don't like to watch too many shows. If my aunt comes in town, that's when we get to watch something on TV, because she gonna come with a good movie that we gotta watch, and we'll get to do that. But we went to the monster truck. We'll do that. We went to the monster truck ride and everybody went, or we go to the 4D movie with the shaking seats and all of that. We went to see a live version of Motown. Everybody liked that. We saw the Jackson 5. We saw that. Okay. So we try to make sure we do something as a family at least twice a month, where everybody goes, from my husband down to my son, and we just decide who's going to choose, whose is it. We did the Cirque du Soleil, just different things. We've been going to Florida for these trainings. And so my son and my husband will go along. They'll be on the beach fishing and all of the stuff. And the second time we went, my son comes to me and he was like, Mom, next time, can we come a few days earlier so everybody can do it? And I was like, nice. Of course, we're going to have to do that. Because I'm like, aren't you having fun? He was like, yeah, but I want all of us to do it. And so I was like, okay, you're right. I thought this was good afterwards. But it takes them to put you in check.
Yes, every time. Every time.
For me, self-care is more so looking like making sure I'm drinking my water. Believe it or not, when you fill up that water cup, it takes time to fill that water cup in the morning, and it takes time to drink it, because guess what? You're going to go use the restroom. That's taking care of yourself, making sure that I have snacks. The snacks that I do are made in olive oil or avocado oil, so that I'm eating healthy, so that, I'm taking care of myself. Those are the things that I look at. I make sure I get a good skin cleanser that cleanses my skin, that I can do that in the morning and the evening. So those are times that I feel like I'm specifically taking care of myself. I'm in a mastermind called Speak Your Way to Cash, and she makes sure she usually has a brain doctor of some sort as one of our mastermind people. And one of the things that she specifically said is our brain is just like any other muscle, and it needs rest, it needs exercise. But the one thing you be shorting it on is rest. And she was like, you, without a doubt, get at least them 7 hours of sleep at night. Mm-hmm. Get in. I don't care if that means you got to sleep later in the morning, but you need that 7 hours of sleep at night. She talked about different vitamins that we needed. And she just gave us a list. If you're taking this D, you got to have this K, you got to have that. These are what your body needs to be healthy. And so I try to fill myself up with those healthy things like that, because literally outside of that, I can just roll with the flow and be happy with whatever else. Even the party that the kids had this weekend, It was so exciting to me because we all got to come in the kitchen because my husband was like, they need to do something too. So they came in, they made the coleslaw, they made the rotel dip. My husband grilled. I made the sauces to go on the rings. It was a great thing. I had to set up. My husband said, it appears that you're planning for a large number of people. I mean, he said, you could have just told me so we could all be on the same page about this. But since you haven't, and it appears that you setting up for a lot of people to eat, we gonna roll with this. He's like, you sure I need to cook some more of these? I was like, yeah, just to be on the safe side. But it really did. Statistics show that 20 to 30% of who you invite actually show up. That's what the statistics show. Whoever thought 50% would show up to a party that a 15 to 19-year-old person are hosting. And when I tell you, people were from the age of 15 to 30. And some of them would say, well, I'm here to have a good time, but basically I'm a chaperone because I done told all my friends, if y'all 27 and older, you a chaperone. You be looking, you be checking, you be whatever. So then we had organic chaperones that showed up to help out. And then we were moving and all of the things. I mean, I was playing Uno with some kids. They let me get in the dance circle. Girl, they done recorded me. I don't know where it's going to be. Your mama
all over the internet. You know it's all over the internet.
Mama, who knows where I am now? Because it was like people, some kids are photographers. They're out there taking pictures and all of the things. But it was so fun. Nothing is torn up. A funny story. And then we can answer your other question. A funny story. So they had the dance circle in my living room. And then, everybody danced in the middle, whatever. Well, for whatever reason, someone decided to turn on the TV. My son broke the TV probably 2 months ago, playing with a ball, hit the ball. I was like, it doesn't matter. We don't watch the TV anyway. We didn't until it got broke. Now that it's broke, everybody want to watch it every day. But beforehand, we literally didn't watch the TV. We have a TV in the basement. They have TVs in their room. Now all of a sudden, everybody wants to watch the TV. Like the game on. I'm like, when did this TV become popular? Why don't we move the one from the basement up? It's like, I'd rather just buy a TV than move one and all of that. So they were dancing and somebody got the remote and turned the TV on and they saw the black on the side and they turned it off real fast. And they said, oh, and they told my daughter, they said, oh, I think we done broke your TV. She didn't say no different. She was like, it's okay. And then, so at 10 o'clock, my husband was like, this party started at 5:30 and it was probably 15 people here at 5:30. And so at 10 o'clock, he was like, listen, DJ, that's the last song. Make that the last song. Y'all, I'm happy you came. It was great and all, but y'all gonna have to leave here. And Allie said, did you tell the ones downstairs? He said, you tell them. So she goes down. She was like, make that the last karaoke song. My dad said, everybody has got to go. People were getting home. And when they got home, if someone else in their family didn't go, it had got out. He broke the party up because they broke the TV.
Girl, hush.
He was mad that they broke the TV, so he broke the party up. I was like, well, if that's what they think.
Right. That's how rumors happen. That's exactly how they happen.
But it was so funny. It was fun. But literally my house was completely clean. There were kids that was putting up, cleaning up. They were like, thank you so much for your hospitality. Thank you so much for your food. They were nobody tore up anything. They just needed a place to come and have fun, to meet up. And I know it was probably 100 and something kids at the house, but it was no problem. They played basketball. Big old kids taller than me was like, I gotta go out there and do a backflip on that trampoline. I'm like, they really want to jump on they jumped on the trampoline. They really had a game time fun. They was like, this is the best place. I don't live in no big house. I live in the little unassuming brick house on the street. It just happens to have upstairs a sunroom in the basement. And so it just facilitates a lot of people. And I don't buy furniture purposely that I'm scared for people to sit on, touch, and use. I don't have spaces in my house that people can't go in, except for the bedrooms. They couldn't go in the bedrooms during the thing. If one of them bedroom doors, my husband would have went crazy. But anyway, they don't get to do that. And so I want people to feel comfortable. And I think they felt comfortable. And it was a great experience. My son was still there. So the big boys played football with him and let him play basketball. So it was like it was all of our party, but we had a great time. Although my 15-year-old is like, that's the first and last, because I was so scared of how daddy was going to act. I couldn't hardly relax because I felt like he was going to get upset. I'm like, well, they were there. Everybody was acting right. So it was a great party. And those are experiences that we have to have for our children. They don't have to go and hang out in privates, whatever. We should invite them to come to the house and let them know that we welcome them to be there.
Love that. I told you. Yeah, I'm glad you made that. I'm glad you fit that in, because I definitely wanted you to share that. I love that. I love that. Okay, so one more. If our listeners didn't hear anything else during this conversation, what's 3 things you want them to take away?
One, if you don't homeschool and you're looking for a place for your child, don't look for a place that just accepts them because they have to, because they've already told you they had space available. Make sure they are a good match for your family. Also, don't hide anything that you think your child needs. If you have resources that your child needs, make that clear. Let the school self-deselect, because if they deselect, they're doing it in honesty. Let them make the faces. Let them do the things that are the body. Read the signals. If the signal said, I don't really want to be bothered with your child, that's exactly what the signal said. You don't have to think you're being overreactive. Follow what your gut is and move on to the next. There's enough places of people who are willing, loving, and wanting to service your family to choose the right place. And third, stop feeling guilty about taking time for yourself. Stop feeling like you should have to do everything. You don't have to do everything. At jobs, they telling you to delegate and put it all out. It's the same thing in the family. Delegate it out. Let the children have a part. Let other people help you when they can. Don't let people get in your head and say you're wasting money on putting your child in childcare. They could just sit there and do that. Recognize what's going on. If you have a child and it looks like they're having a hard time doing simple things, break the task down to something smaller and don't require them to do as much. Sometimes stress is hereditary. Someone was stressful. They put stress on you, you put stress on the other, and it goes on and it goes on. That's how we end up in a toxic circle. Break that circle. If you need someone to come in your house and help you clean up, pay somebody to come in your house and help you clean up. That little respite of care that you're getting for yourself, for your family, could go so far in terms of building bonds and building something successful. And that's your family legacy.
I know that's right, girl. That's the message. Yes. Thank you for that. Thank you. And I hope that you heard at the beginning of how she was looking for something for her kid and could not find it. So she started it on her own. And that is what it is all about. If something's out there that you're not, some resource that you need, some support you need, and you don't see it, please believe that somebody else needs it also. So start it, build it, and they will come. Thank you so much for sharing. I appreciate you so, so much. Families, parents, you know what I'm going to say. Homeschool your kids.